Welcome to Random Radio. I'm your host, David Bolander, and thanks for listening in. So, this week I wanted to talk about a common misconception along with a number of things. Today I wanted to talk about the difference between power and pressure. Now, here's what I mean by that, okay? And by the way, I am no professional. Don't, take my words with a grain of salt. I have not done much research into this, and I can only put out my opinions and my views and the tests that I've run. So let's get started. so here's how I describe the difference between power and pressure. Okay, so power, and by the way, this is very, I don't know why, but this seems just very strange. I don't know. Anyway, power is like swinging a baseball bat at a baseball, right? Like you still have some accuracy, but you're swinging it so fast and just with like all your energy, it's all going into one direction, which then means that you can't really stop the bat once it gets past you, right? And like if you miss the ball, like you are sent recoiling for a few seconds, right? That's power, right? It's you get more oomph out of it, but at the same time like less accuracy, less control over it, right? Pressure, if you've ever dealt with like hydraulics, basically how it works is you put a liquid inside of like a tube and then you try to push more liquid into it basically, and that pushes it like with like a high level of psi, which is basically just pressure. Go figure. But basically, like typically you're using it when you lift heavy things, right? And so let's say that you're pushing something up with a lot of pressure, right? And you are barely moving it up just ever so slowly, right? You have considerably more control over that hydraulic system than you do over the baseball bat, right? With the baseball bat, if you're in, and there's no turning back, right? You are swinging if you're going to swing. If not, then you're not going to swing. But with the hydraulics though, then it's like, okay, I'm not quite sure that I want to get it up this high, so let's lower it just ever so slowly, right? And so then you just slightly lower the pressure, ever so slightly, and that slowly lowers it, right? You have more precision and more accuracy, I'd say, or more precision. I've also recently learned the difference between precision and accuracy, but that's a topic for another episode. So, but yeah, that's my analogy. Okay. Um, so one way that I've actually been learning about this is just like walking around the school. I've learned to apply more pressure than power when I'm walking, even like you need to get up the stairs. I apply a little bit of power and mostly pressure, right? Actually, no, I apply mostly power and partial pressure because I don't need to be super accurate about where I land on a step as long as I get to the step, right? That's where I use lots of power is running up the stairs or getting up the stairs, right? With the heavy backpack on. But I like to use pressure just when I'm trying to make very precise movements in the super crowded hallways of the high school, right? That's when I personally like to use pressure more. And that's just because like I have so much more control over where my feet go and over where I really am in the hallway, right? Like in fact, I just saw this today, right? Like in I think I was trying to make it down to the lunchroom or something. I can't remember what, but I was walking somewhere, okay? And somebody came up behind me and shoved me. Or didn't really shove me, but like they bumped into me a little bit. And had I not been using pressure, I would have fallen on my face or into the person in front of me, right? But since I was using pressure, now I was already using pressure to move my feet and move my legs rather than power, right? Rather than trying to kick off the floor harder. Then I was just trying to like push in, I guess, both directions, is what I'm trying to say, right? Like I was both trying to extend and like retract the muscles in my legs, right? And that just allowed for so much more precision in that situation because once I felt the push, then I was like, oh shoot, I need to like correct this immediately. And so then I just put like, just, it's hard to explain, but like I put like an eighth level of pressure, I guess, if you want to describe it that way. An eighth level of pressure, just more into like my toes and my feet, right? Just so that then I could stay afloat, and as well as like bending my knees a little bit and applying more pressure there so that then they're more stable, right? But that's where I mostly use pressure, is just in walking, and if there's something that goes wrong, or if I even just make a random mistake while I'm walking, that's where I mostly use it. And using pressure also actually has led me to think a lot more precise about like where I move, right? Like most of the time, like I don't know, like I can go from a speed walk to doing a 90-degree turn back into a speed walk within a second, is what I've noticed, and I love it so much just because it's so crowded in the high school, and there are a lot of just right angle corners, right? Especially when I'm heading to my third hour, then there's just all sorts of right angle corners. Or there's one in particular, but I won't get into any details. But anyway, then I use lots of pressure because I'm trying to speed walk, right? But I also want to have enough precision that in case something happens, or in case I need to like dodge around somebody who just decided to stop and talk to their friend, which by the way, that is a lot more annoying than you would imagine. Just having the people in front of you that are spanning most of the hallway just stop, right? And everybody behind you and everybody next to you is just like, what in the world is going on? Like, why is everybody just stopped here? And then you see this tiny little channel of people just trying to worm their way either through or like around this group. But that's where I used pressure in my walking, is just like when I have to dodge around these people, because typically then when they're talking to their friends, they like to wave their arms around, they like to move around a lot, and it's really annoying. But in fact, I've had this happen to me a lot of times where I'm walking around this one group of friends of like 5 to 10 people, and one of them just so happens to be the person right in front of me, decides for some reason they want to step backward like 4 feet, right? And so then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm about to be there, right? And so then I use pressure to go in a different direction, right? Like if they're on my left and I'm trying to go there, and I'm trying to get to where I'm going to go, then if it's not possible for me to go around them, I just stop. I put more pressure on my feet, like in the fronts of my feet and my legs, in front of my legs, right? Just try to even myself out a bit more without, like, but then if I can go around them, then I just kind of put pressure, I guess, to the forward and right. Sorry, I'm getting over some disease that I had a couple weeks ago, which would actually explain why I didn't post. But anyway, that's like beside the point. Anyway, the like I try to push pressure forward and to the right, which will then allow me to more effectively maneuver around the person and in a more precise way, right? Like, and that's just something I've noticed, and I really like using pressure rather than power a lot more, just because it's more accurate, or not. It's hard to tell. Um, like you're more accurate where you're putting your feet, right? Like where you want to put your feet. But then you're also more precise about about like where you consistently put your feet, right? Like, or how powerful your step is, right? And it also helps me from, like, it actually stops me a lot from tripping, right? And when I've noticed that I try to use more power, then I end up tripping a lot more, like, just because like maybe my foot wasn't in the right position when I was supposed to step down, and so then I trip and fall, or I trip and almost fall, right? Um, but with um, but with pressure, then I can just apply a little bit more pressure, and that only works up to a speed walk, by the way, is what I've noticed. And I could probably work on it if I really wanted to. I could probably work on a way to put in pressure into like jogging or even running. But for now, then pressure works best for me when I'm speed walking or slower. Right? It just allows for considerably more precision just about where I'm putting my feet. Right? And like, you have no idea how much it helps. Like it is just the most beautiful thing. Um, but yeah, I guess my point is pressure in both directions helps more than total power in one direction, right? Like in some situations, like swinging a baseball bat, it's better to have power, right? And have minimal accuracy because you have a decently big baseball bat. And if you're good enough, then you can just hit hit a baseball like really, really hard with a lot of power behind it, right? And still have the accuracy. I'm not like that, and so I would probably use pressure, especially since I haven't played baseball in a while and I don't like carrying really heavy things just with my hands, right? And just trying to swing it around because I know that I'd hit somebody, including probably myself. But I'd yeah, pressure pressure it's just it's interesting. If you get pressure in both directions, it's super amazing. If you get pressure in one direction, it's okay. Like it does still help with accuracy and stuff, but I'd say it helps a lot more when you're using a lot more energy. And like, yeah, it does use quite a bit more energy because you're pushing against your own muscles. But I will say though that I think that's really helping out with an inbuilt exercise because I'm at school for 7 hours out of the day. So I mean, might as well just you know try to work out my legs a little bit between classes. Like, why not? I don't know. That's just me. And then picking up my backpack, that helps work out my arms. But anyway, pressure. I love pressure so much, so much, and it's really important to be able to distinguish between pressure and power. It's just so important. At least I think so. I don't know. I think that it's helped me a lot. And if you struggle with stuff like that, like with randomly bumping into people, I guess, consider it. Just even if you're only doing it little bits at a time, that's still little bits at a time that you're doing it more than other people. And honestly, I think that helps me personally. So here's that was my main thing for today. It doesn't really have much to do with my usual topics of like mental health and stuff, but I don't know. I guess it's helped me feel a little bit more confident about how I walk, and that's a very comforting thing to have. And so I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I'll stop talking and making a fool of myself. But anyway, uh, this is yeah. I'm about to post this like late Monday night, so amazing. Anyway, this was Random Radio, and I was David Bolander. Thank you guys so much for listening in. You guys have no idea how much it means. Yeah, and that's that, and we're signing off. Thank you.